camp, and also kind of all the people around the web or the internet can learning together with us. So today, actually, we plan to have presentation our friends, right? But two of them have personal issue, cannot join to the class for today. I will recap what we have teach or what we have learned together, and then we can go further. Maybe today I only the person who takes charge to present or teaching you. Normally we are not use that strategy, right? We assign you at front what topic you need to look and study on your own understanding, and then come back to present in front of the class to sharing your knowledge to your friend, and then I will recap again, right? Yes. Yeah, if you can. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, yes, thank you. Very good. So before we go that, I would like to recap again for recapping your knowledge. Before we starting live stream, we have a test that I call additional test for checking or evaluate our student, what we have learned. But by looking very fast to your answer, I noticed that maybe you understand what we have learned, but sometimes you cannot recognize what it's about, particularly what this subject, the subject of today, and that we study for about how many sessions that we study already is 4 week, 5 week, right? Right. So the very important thing, this subject is not about economics theory alone, but it's about how CEO, how manager or the entrepreneur can apply the economics theory for them to conduct the business to success in the business. So the question that I test and give you a question test is about what is economic for business. And actually, I look into the definition. All you guys are very good understanding about economics for business or business economics, which is to apply the economics theory for making decision to the better outcome, because we have scarcity of the resources, and we hope we also, I mean, the consumer or your society have unlimited want. So how the CEO in terms of entrepreneurship to gain profit, right? We are using or applying the economics theory. And the second part of the first question may be quite difficult, right? The answer is not quite clear, and you are not, maybe because of the time that limited that I gave it to you, only 15 minutes. So when you're writing, maybe you not give an example how CEO apply the economics theory. What kind of economic theory that you recommend for the CEO to use for making decision? You didn't show any explanation, right? You just write blah 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 blah. So maybe you need to give some example. What kind of the theory, for example, demand theory or supply theory? What CEO need to think about demand theory? How they apply demand theory for understanding the demand of the consumer, so they can make a revenue from demand, right? For demand is mean the quantity of the good or service that consumer willing and have ability to buy. So if CEO understand this, they can notice that, and they can understand that, or even can explore or even do some marketing research. What quantity consumer willing and have ability. What ability is mean purchasing power. They have money to buy a thing. So they maybe this thing is not clear, explain, and give some example. And how about supply theory? What the demand theory is talking about, the law of demand. You didn't mention about they can use law of demand to understand whenever the company or CEO just want to increase the price. They have to understand about the behavior of consumer will what? Reduce the quantity to buy. Maybe they have not much ability or even have a willing to buy because they prefer to buy some other product of some other competitor, right? Maybe you better give some example like this. And the second question is quite difficult, I guess. What do you think? How about second question? The second question asks about what are the consumer equilibrium? What equilibrium mean, right? You have some point that kind of a good thing, equilibrium. So it means kind of balance of something, right? And it's kind of optimizing thing, right? And what about consumer equilibrium? And what about producer equilibrium? This is, I can see that you cannot recognize what is that, right? For the consumer equilibrium, you have to understand about they have budget. You have money in your pocket. Everybody, every consumer have different budget in your pocket. It means you have different ability budget to buy things. And also when you would like to make decision to buy some product, you also have to think about other product you can also buy. You have to make decision to choice what product you have to buy by the limited of your budget. So the equilibrium is the point that you have the highest satisfaction. But in terms of satisfaction in the economics, we didn't call exactly satisfaction. What we call, you remember? Can you remember about some kind of the satisfaction that economic person call, not just say satisfaction? What we say about something, the U, you remember? The U thing like total U, TU, MU, AU. Whenever you cannot recognize, it means that you need to come back and look into your lecture, your note, or even my documentation that I hand out to you. It's about utility. You remember about utility? That we talk about some noodle soup. The first noodle soup, the first bowl of noodle soup, you feel like very tasty, very good. And your utility maybe is this amount, but you're not full. So another bowl of soup of noodle, you have more utility. What is utility? This is kind of satisfaction and also utilize for make you feel happy. So for the consumer equilibrium, it's the touch point. It means the highest utility that you can have or you can get based on the budget you have. You remember, this is the budget you have. And this is the indifferent curve. The indifferent curve I see is mean among these curve, you have the same amount of utility, right? That is, I think, not much people can answer this. I think at all, nobody can answer well. But at least some people said, I think that is very quite close. Kun Patana, right? Patawa. Patawa said, consumer equilibrium is consumer make choice about quantity of good and service to consume which the maximize utility. Partly is good. But you didn't mention about the budget the consumer have. Based on the budget the consumer have. And also for Amin, he write something that he wrote something that is very close to the consumer equilibrium. He mentioned that the point, yes, the point, equilibrium is the point at which someone get the most pressure. If the pressure is mean utility, that is okay, right? From the good they buy. So comparing to what the good they buy, but it's not just the money that you limited have. So maybe be careful when you're talking about the theory, the consumer equilibrium and also producer equilibrium. What do you think about producer equilibrium? Of course, it's a point, equilibrium point that producer, when produce something, you have what? Cost. So you have some kind of what cost? You have heard something about ISO cost and ISO quant. We mentioned already, maybe you already forgot. So be careful. This is just two questions. It's very simple. It's about producer equilibrium and also consumer equilibrium. CEO better understanding this. What is that? So the producer equilibrium is the point that the cost normally, in general, CEO love the lowest cost, right? And also, CEO want to sell more. In order to sell more, you reduce the cost, but you need more product you can produce. The equilibrium point is the point that the producer have what? The lowest cost that they can, but the highest quantity that they can produce. So it's kind of dilemma. Of course, you would like to reduce the cost, but also you would like to produce more. What is the equilibrium point? So most of the thing you have to think about decision. When you are CEO, of course, you are chief executive officer or the entrepreneur. You have something to make decision. When you make decision, you need information, you need knowledge. So the economics theory that apply to business decision, that is very important. So when you answer the question by CEO for Emmeline, right? Emmeline, right? Emmeline, yeah. Emmeline answer the consumer equilibrium, right? Could is mean occur when consumer income match with the price of the good. So what she said is very close to budget, right? The consumer income, right? With the price of the good and service. It means that consumer use the revenue that afford to buy the product at the given price, right? But maybe what is left out is about the utility, the maximize utility. So for example, if this question answered by 2 persons, I think it have a full mark. But you have a mark of about ability to buy, but you have a mark about the highest satisfaction or pleasure or maximize the utility that you can. But you didn't talk about the budget you have. But you talk about budget you have. You didn't talk about maximizing that you get from the product that you buy, right? That is a thing. I think that is where try to recap your knowledge. So today, before we go further to have some presentation from Emmeline, I would like you to come back to what we have learned from economic for business, right? I think for the cost description that I hand out to you, that is very good kind of the timeline for you to recap what we have learned and what we have studied, right? And sharing together. So when we look into the detail of what we have learned from so far, you have to understand. So today, the question I asked you about the business economics, right? And how to apply for the CEO. And also, I not see that you mention about oh yeah, this one. I mean, right? A good answer. He mentioned about the profit, but the profit is not a only good answer for sustainability, right? Because the question that I asked you guys is about how CEO apply the knowledge of business economics for sustainability. So now you have to think about the profit is not only bottom line for business at all during the sustainability era. And Amin said about the triple bottom line, triple P. Have you recognized about triple P? Not only one P. The triple is mean three. The first one is profit, of course. The second one is what? The second P, what? Come on, guy. The bottom line of business person before, yes, is profit. But today, for sustainability, not only profit. What else? Other P. Yeah, of course. Amin can answer. So how about others? Because other students didn't mention about sustainability, what I mentioned. Only Amin's answer about triple P. Yeah. You write something about triple P at the end. Yeah, show me what. Yeah.
I'm sure I did. Yeah.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yeah. And also Emmeline. So just quiet. Let two students. What are the triple P? Sorry. What the triple P? You will check from the internet. What other P คุณชนุชา when you of course you are a business person, right? Not only profit that now CEO or the entrepreneur think or bottom line because cannot survive during this time and cannot sustain ability. So what are the two P? Profit and to gain sustainability. Come on, guys, it's not too difficult. We have learned already. You just forgot it. What are the two P? Come on. Wake up. Not only 2P, not only 1P, it's three. One is profit. Yes. What? What? Planet and people. Yes. You know it, but maybe you never thought. Because when during this time for sustainability, this is very simple. During this time, you have to think about when you product or producing thing, produce product to gain a profit. You have to think about people. The people is mean in the company also, and also people like consumer, competitor, community, whatever, and also the planet, both the environment and also the kind of the animals or other things. Okay, so the I believe that the profit and the cost you cannot analyze, right? We already study, and then we further study into demand theory and supply theory, and go to study about production analysis and cost analysis. For production analysis, you have to try another time, Next time, I will give you the test related to the product analysis and cost analysis. So now I give you or remind you at front, try to prepare yourself. Next time, we will have a test for product analysis and cost analysis. And after that, we study about market structure. Last session, we talked very well and we discussed very fun about the market structure. that we have a lot of the competitor and the seller and producer in the market. But some market structure have only one. So for the perfect competitive market structure and also until maybe very few until one monopoly. So I would like you to recap and understanding about the type or characteristic of market structure, right? And for the student who maybe have the personal issue, cannot join to the class or cannot participate in the class, I recommend to read through on your own or look into the video or the thing that we record about the market structure and also how to set the price strategy in the various market structure. So can you give me some what you have recognized or can you remember something about market structure? And I assign the homework about my map, right? So market structure, what are 5 market structure? Yeah, monopoly. It means only one producer and the price can set by this monopoly, right? For the short run and the long run. And monopolistic. What the difference among monopoly and monopolistic? Yeah. Yeah, you can use. Yeah.
You have a lot of small companies in the same market. There is not that much buyers at the entry. Yeah.
For monopoly is have only one producer, but monopolistic is a lot of seller, right? And somewhat, what the monopolistic different from the perfect competition?
Monopolistic, the sellers are price maker. They have they're a price maker. They have a power on the price.
Yeah, but not much. Comparing to monopoly, right? But comparing to perfect competition have some ability to manage the price by make the product different. If you can make the product different comparing to other competitor, you can set some kind of pricing, right? Based on the difference. Maybe different in terms of the service or maybe different in terms of the quality of the product. So monopolistic, you can set, actually we cannot say the set. Maybe you can say manage the price. Comparing to the perfect competition is a lot of producer and what the product is very homogeneous, identical, very the same. It's difficult for you to make decision what that brand and this brand is very identical, very homogenized. So the power of consumer is a lot. So the producer just have the price or take the price from the market equilibrium. You remember about demand and supply of the market, set the price for this producer that in the perfect competition. And how about oligopoly and duopoly? Duo is mean duo, only 2 competitor, right? And how about oligopoly, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, right? It's not much like monopolistic, right? And the price setting in oligopoly is what the difference with monopoly? If the duopoly do some kind of agreement to set the price together, it's become monopoly. So the government don't like to have only 2 big company to, manage the market, right? And for about oligopoly, the price not change much, right? Because if you increase the price, of course, not much consumer will buy you, and you lost some profit. So if you would like to reduce the price, of course, every company, maybe 2 or 3 company reduce the price, so it's not gain much, right? So I think the your mind map that I assign to you can give you some idea about the market structure and how to set, right? And today, I think actually last time your friend, right? I'm not sure who take care about demand estimation and forecasting. I think last time she absent the class, and I remember today she or he better to present for demand estimation and forecasting. You remember? Yeah, Koi. Yeah, that's why today we have to remember this is very important issue about demand forecasting. Because if you are as CEO, you don't know what the quantity of your product will consumer buy. You cannot estimate. You cannot even forecast what will the future. You cannot plan for producing what amount will you produce, right? This is very important issue. So we have to remember this subject, and this title didn't mention yet. So we're waiting for Koi to present this, and then I will recap. So today we will welcome Emmeline to present what investment decision. No, I mean for the decision making. Sorry, because investment decision, your friend, right? Yeah. She have some very urgent personal issue, cannot present today. It's okay. So we go to the decision making under the risk and uncertainty circumstance. I think very important part. So give a big hand to Emmeline. Yeah, thank you.
Welcome.
So hello everybody. Today I'm gonna do my presentation about decision making and the risk and uncertainty. So first of all, concerning the decision making. During his job, a manager has to cope with important decisions that can have a huge impact on the firm. So that's why this decision need to be thought carefully, and so all the process need to be analyzed in order to do it in the best way possible. What's more, sometimes external factor can affect this decision and this process. So first of all, let's see the decision-making process. So it doesn't not only apply to when a manager want to do a decision. When you, as an individual, you have to do an important decision. So even if you may not realize it, you are applying this process. First of all, you need to identify the decision to know, so what is it about? After it, you need to gather information in order to know as much as possible about the problem, about what can be due, and about the wanted result. After that, you identify alternative. It means you create possible solution that can solve your problem and be the right decision. You weigh the evidence. It means you just try to find which alternative is the best. Then you choose among the alternative and you take action. And after that, you can ask for feedback or review your decision in order to adjust if something is not wrong. So what does it have to do with economics? So far, we have assumed that in the market, there is a perfect information. It means both all the participants of the market know everything about the market structure and also what the other participants are willing to do. But as you know, the reality is much more complex and it's not like this in the real life. It means that we cannot predict everything. There is a lot of risk and uncertainty. And so this is the subject of the topic today. First of all, what is a risk? So a risk occurs when the actual return is not the same as the expected return. It means something went wrong during process and it can possibly have negative consequences. This is a risk. There is risk everywhere, but a risk can be anticipated. So that's why risk analysis is an essential part of the job of a manager. There is some tools that can help him to anticipate and reduce the risk, such as statistical tools that we studied in statistical in our subject. So, for example, calculating the mean, the variance, the standard deviation can help to look at the data and to anticipate in order to avoid mistake. Then, what is uncertainty? So there is 3 situations where uncertainty occurs. The first one is when there is an unknown order of things, is that you don't know how, when, and what thing can happen. You don't know. The second thing is that when you do something, the consequences, the condition, and what the event itself, it's unpredictable. You don't know and you can anticipate it. And the third reason is that there is probabilities not to reach the desired outcome due to external factor and you have no control over it. So now I have a question for you guys. What do you think is the difference between risk and uncertainty? Don't be afraid.
I think that the risk, but I don't know, it's just a proposal. I think that the risk is, uncertainty is something we don't really know, we're not really sure about it, and the risk is something we know, but we still take the risk to do something.
Okay, nice. It's kind of is. So I found a sentence that I found really accurate, and it can help you to understand well. So uncertainty is an unknown risk, and a risk is a miserable uncertainty. It means that a risk, you can measure it, you can cover it, you can like anticipate it, but you cannot do it with uncertainty. For example, so just imagine you have a firm with big facilities, and you can take an insurance in order to avoid, like, I don't know, flood or robbery, so that if something bad happens, you are covered in case of it. But concerning uncertainty, you cannot. You cannot anticipate it. You cannot take an insurance to prevent uncertainty. A risk can be transferred into another risk, and you know it. So you can maybe just prevent something so that something worse cannot happen. You cannot do it with uncertainty because you don't know about uncertainty. The cost of the risk is included in the production cost. It means that the risk has no cost. You can cover it with your revenue. When you take an insurance, the insurance is included in the cost of the production. But concerning uncertainty, the cost is unknown because it can have no cost. You're lucky, nothing happened, but something can happen. You did not anticipate it, and so you have to pay for it, and it cannot be covered with the revenue of your business. And so, as I said many times, you can predict a risk with your previous knowledge, with what's already happened, with what you know, but you cannot do it with uncertainty. So now we're going to analyze the impact of risk and uncertainty into the economics life. So I choose to look at it at two different levels. The first one is at the consumer decision level, and the second one is in the managerial decision level. So first of all, the consumer behavior. So far, we have assumed that the consumer, we know their taste and we know their preference. But for real, it's not the case. We cannot know in advance what a consumer will like or no. So it extends the process to an uncertain outcome, which is more difficult to anticipate. So concerning the consumer, there is three types of behavior. When a consumer has to do a decision concerning what he wants to buy or to do, there is three ways of which he can act. The first one is the risk averse. So the risk averse is when you have the choice between a sure amount of output, which maybe cannot be very high, and a high prospect of an expected value, which can be very high, but you're not sure to have it. The risk averse was chose to take the risk to have the higher outcome possible, even if he is not sure about having it, but still taking the risk to have a higher outcome. A risk lover, no, sorry, this is what I say is just the risk taker. Risk lover want to take the risk to have a higher outcome. On the contrary, there is the risk averse who don't want to take the risk. He can have a sure amount, even if it's still low, at least it's sure. So he would rather take this. And after that, there is the risk neutral, which is indifferent between the two options. So the fact is that we cannot say somebody is a risk averse or somebody is a risk taker. All of us, we are the three one. There is a point, like at the beginning, everybody is risk neutral. It means you don't care. If the prospect is not very important or something, we are risk neutral. It means we don't care about having a low or high outcome. When like the gamble is small, there is not a huge output to win at the end. We tend to be risk takers. It's mean okay, so there is not a lot of opportunity to take. So let's take the risk, and maybe it works. If it doesn't work, it's okay. So this is the risk taker. But when the outcome is uncertain, but there is a huge potential, people tend to be risk averse and to keep their position in order to be the safer possible. So now I have another question for you. Let's see what you are like. If you are risk lover or risk averse, just imagine you're traveling, you're alone, and you just end up in a small town. You don't know anything about this town, and you're hungry. You have the choice between two places to eat. There is like a small local restaurant with local food. You've never been there, you have no idea about it. And there is a big famous chain of restaurants, kind of expensive, but it's good. You've already been there plenty of time. So yeah, you have the choice. Which one will you choose?
We have to answer. Everybody has to answer, right?
Yeah, we are. You are only four people, so I think you can all answer.
Well, I guess if I'm going in a big chain, I will have less food, right? That's the main point now. Because if I can have the same amount of foods, I mean, if I can have the same volume of food.
Yeah. You don't know it because, like, you're just outside. There is a restaurant, we don't know anything about it, and there is a restaurant, you know it, you can have the same at home. You just have to choose.
Depends on the cleanness of the restaurant. If it's clean, I will go in the small restaurants. I don't care about the size of the restaurant, but I care about the clean. If it's clean or not. If it's, I don't really know if it's clean or not, I will go in and be sure in a normal restaurant.
Okay.
And how about others? Yeah. Actually, it happened in their life. Then you go somewhere. You don't know anything about the where to eat, right? So you have to try the franchise food shop or some other local food that you don't know anything. You have to make decisions. This is just the question to test that, and then Emily will say that what type of your character or behavior based on your selection of these two. Yes, please.
I will choose the franchise restaurant because I think if the restaurant have a standard quality in everywhere.
How about you?
For me, I choose local food because I want to know how it is. Yeah, because I think it's different from my food.
Yeah. For myself, I answer based on my experience. Whenever I go travel, I don't know why I trust on the franchise because I'm not sure about the cleanness of the taste. I'm very kind of I don't know. So could you how to say evaluate us? Who are
Okay.
we?
Sure. So if you just choose to go to the small local restaurant, it means you're a risk lover. Maybe the food will not be good. Maybe it will be so expensive. Maybe you will still be hungry after eat there. But at the same time, maybe it could be the best food of your life. Maybe you will have like the best meal ever and it will be so cheap or you don't know. But you have to try. You cannot guess in advance. But if you choose the big chain of restaurants, you risk averse. You know this one is good. It's not the best, but it's still good. So you just stay here. Don't want to take the risk. Don't want to lose time to discover something new. So yeah, basically that's it. Maybe now you've understand like better what is the difference between risk aversion and risk taking. So now let's see how the uncertainty and the risk can have repercussion on the choice that consumer can make during their decision process. So this process, when you're trying to make a choice for consumer, this process is called the consumer search. So sometimes you cannot know the price of a good in advance. Well, for example, when you're looking for something on the internet, or you find something, you find a good over services, but first you need to compare with another firm because maybe somewhere else it will be cheaper. So you need to do research about it. Here is the first concept we're going to talk about today is the reservation price. So here, the reservation price is the price where like you don't care about buying it. You just saw a good at a given price, you will buy it. You don't need to look for a cheaper price. You don't need to compare with another firm. But above this reversion price, it's mean like over there. Maybe this price can be too expensive for you. So maybe you want to find something cheaper. Maybe you want to look if another firm cannot offer the same goods for the same price, but with higher quality. So you need to do research for a lower price. Sometimes this research can have a cost because you're losing time. You can buy the thing right now and have the benefit on using it, but you can still keep looking for another one, for a cheaper one, but it can entail cost. This is like the search, like the consumer search, basically is this. So this line is the expected benefit of the project. This line is the cost of the goods you want to buy. And over there, so before the reservation price, you will buy it. The price is okay for you. After the reservation price, so over there, you need to think about it. You need to make a decision if you want to buy the good or no. So what you need to keep in mind is that maybe you can find a good which is cheaper, but you will have to add the search price to it. So when you're in such a situation, the best strategy to apply is to look for a fair price until you find one which is below the reservation price. This is the consumer search rule. Is it clear? I don't feel like I've been really clear.
Can you explain? I mean, after Emily that explained to you about the optimal search, that the expect benefit, right, is equal to cost. So if we understand, you can explain to us. Right? So it is not underneath to explain again. I think maybe you better explain again about the optimal search.
So just maybe I will take an example. You want to hire somebody to make work in your house. Like something is broken and you need somebody to help you to fix it. But as long as you haven't found somebody to do the job, your house is broken. So you're losing money because, like, I don't know, maybe the window is broken, so you lose energy or something. So it needs to be done the quickest possible. There is maybe 5% that can do the job, and this 5%, they don't ask for the same price. You find the first person. He asks you for a high price, a price you think is higher. So you will say, no, sorry, this is too high for me. It's above the reservation price. It's here. So you're just going to reject it. But at the same time, if you say no to him, it means you will need more time to find another person. And you will lose money because your house is broken, so the energy is evaporating or something. After that, you see a second person. This second person asks for a lower price than the first one. So maybe the price, it's over there. So it's good, you can say yes. But at the same time, you need to think that you already lose money by waiting more time. So you need to add like an additional cost to the cost of this person. Is it more clear?
So are you clear what? I think your explanation is quite clear, but maybe we're not sure about the expectation or expected benefit. So the expected benefit maybe you more clarify.
The expected benefit is when you want to take from the thing you're gonna buy. Like, I don't know, if you buy food, the expected benefit is to feed you. If you hire somebody to do work in your house, the expected benefit is to have a better house after it.
But what is the reservation price then? Is it the price you're willing to pay, or is it the price you're willing to pay plus the money you lose?
The reservation price, it doesn't change. It's the price at which it's your price. It's the best price for you. If you find something lower than the reservation price, good, it's perfect. But if you find something higher than the reservation price, you have to think if you can afford it or no.
But if you find something exactly on the reservation price after 2 weeks, it means that you lost money during 2 weeks.
Yep.
So you have to
So
reduce the reservation price now.
you cannot reduce the reservation price. It's like it's your budget. I mean, you just need to anticipate that if you wait, it might be additional cost.
So your budget is decreasing.
Yeah, we can see the budget is decreasing, or we can also see it as like the cost of the goods you will buy if you wait increase with additional cost. Like it's the same, but in the theory it's explained like this.
I think this happens to you all the time. But if you not study economics or CEO not understand economics, not much take care about the thing, about the cost that maybe we say like not explicit cost. They not have a bill for you to losing time. But for the economic person to take care every single thing about the resources, particularly the time for you searching, it means the cost of you, particularly we call implicit cost, or maybe opportunity cost for you to have it now. But you further searching and searching. But if the searching cost less than expected benefit, it's good, right?
Mm. So this anticipation of the risk and uncertainty concern also managerial decision about the output and the input. So that's what we're going to say. Look now. Concerning the manager, there is like the same theme as for consumer. A manager can be risk averse, neutral, or risk lover. It doesn't concern what you buy. It can concern what you buy, like for the supply, but mostly it's about if you want to settle a project or not. The clue in order to anticipate risk and uncertainty as a manager is to diversify. To diversify the production, to diversify the partnership, the supplier, the shareholder. Like, it's very important. Just let's take an example. Imagine you only have one supplier, which supply you every day because it's like you're selling a fresh product and you need new supply every day. And one day your supplier has a problem, something happened, he cannot deliver you. So you have nothing. You have no supply. You have no inventory. It's impossible to you to operate because of your supplier. But if you have two suppliers, you will have like less inventory for the day, less product to sell, but at least you will have something and you will still run your business. So that's why it's very important to diversify as a manager, to diversify like everything you can diversify. There is the same rule as consumer search. It's called the producer search. It's the same, basically. There is a reservation price. There is search cost. Like, for example, I took the, before I told about you, when you need to hire somebody to do something for your house. But it's the same. The manager needs somebody to hire for his firm and waiting until finding a new person until additional cost because you lose time to do interview, you lose time because you miss somebody in the firm. It's the same, but just at a different level. So I told to you about like you need to diversify the production, the supply and stuff like this in order to get the best from a project. So there is a mathematical tool that exists that can help you to decide which is the best payoff. When you have a situation, what is the best choice to do and what choice will like give you the more money. This is called the Minimax approach. So it's very complicated. So I'm just going to show you a video because I'm not sure I can explain it.
In this brief video, we will be discussing decision-making without probabilities. In this first part, we will consider the Maximax or the optimistic approach, the Maximin, also known as conservative or pessimistic approach, and the Minimax regret approach to decision-making. The table seen here is referred to as a payoff table or decision table. The alternatives on the left here in the rows are referred to as decision alternatives. They are the options available for the decision maker to choose from. We will assume that the decision maker can only choose one of these alternatives: invest in bonds, stocks, or mutual funds. In the columns, we have the economic conditions. Since the decision maker does not have control over these, we refer to them as states of nature or outcomes. The values in the table are called payoffs. They could be profit, cost, distance, time, and so on. In this example, we treat them as profits. The Maximax or optimistic approach. Using this optimistic approach, we choose the alternative with the best possible payoff. Looking at bonds, the best payoff is 45, the best is 70 for stocks, and the best is 53 for mutual funds. The overall best is 70, therefore the decision is to invest in stocks. The Maximin or conservative approach. Using this pessimistic approach, we choose the alternative with the best of the worst payoffs. We first choose the worst payoff in each alternative and then choose the best of the worst. Looking at bonds, the worst payoff is 5, the worst is minus 13 for stocks, and the worst is minus 5 for mutual funds. The best of these is 5. Therefore, the pessimistic or conservative approach is to invest in bonds. The Minimax regret approach. Using this approach, we choose the alternative with the minimum of all maximum regrets across all alternatives. Regret, also known as opportunity loss, is the difference between the best payoff in a particular state of nature and the actual payoff received. For example, if the economy is growing the best payoff is 70. If we happen to have invested in bonds, then the regret will be 70 minus 40, which is 30. If we invested in stocks, then there is no regret. If we invested in mutual funds, then the regret is 70 minus 53, which is 17. Again, if the economy is stable, the best payoff is 45. So if we invested in bonds, there is no regret. The regret is 45 minus 30 if we invested in stocks. If we invested in mutual funds, there is also no regret. For declining economy, the best payoff is 5. If we invested in bonds, there is no regret. If we invested in stocks, the regret is 5 minus negative 13, which is 18. If we invested in mutual funds, the regret is 5 minus negative 5, which is 10. Here is the regret table. Since the decision is to be made based on minimax regret, we first determine the maximum regret for each alternative and then choose the minimum. For bonds, the maximum regret is 30. For stocks, it is 18. And for mutual funds, it is 17. The minimum of these maximum regrets is 17. The decision is to invest in mutual funds. See you in part 2. Thanks for watching.
So I hope it's kind of clear for you, because I don't know if you're going to study it, but this is like a mathematical tool that can, like, science can help you to make your decision. It's a process that is used by manager, and so it's kind of like regulated. So now let's look at the last aspect of risk. It's concerned profit maximization. So we can apply it to marginal cost. As you know, if the marginal revenue is higher than the marginal cost, so it means over there, it means that you can increase your profit by producing an extra unit of output or input. All of this depends on the managerial decision. You can just let things as they are, and so that no loss will be provided, but the profit will still remain the same. Or you can choose to do so. That's why a risk taker will do. Okay, let's try. We have an opportunity, let's do it. You take the risk, you produce an extra unit of production. Maybe you will increase your profits. Maybe, like, the marginal revenue will still be higher than the marginal cost, and you can, like, increase the size of the firm. Or maybe it will fail and it will not match the demand. It will be, like, too high for the demand. It will entail additional cost, and then, like, you will have to go back. It depends. So by my point of view, like, I'm a risk taker. So every time, like, if I have an opportunity to do something, I will do it. But I think it's a personal way of thinking. It just depends on the manager, on the manager experience, and of what he is able to do or not. So that's why, like, the decision-making process, we can talk about it, we can explain it, but there is no theory to teach it, because it's just depend on the individual and on the way of thinking. Thank you.
So what the picture refer to? I mean, this picture.
Yes.
We are a cat, or how to go for decision making
it is a cat very good decision maker?
Ah,
I mean, I just joke like for
Yeah.
the cat that it's like you look into her face. I'm not sure if she or he, right? But I feel like, what do you think? Is it he or she?
She.
I mean,
Don't know.
this cat, I mean, this picture is a male or female cat. Look at his face. It seems like really difficult for making decision, right? What
I'm
should
sorry.
you make for making decision, right? So before we have a break, I would like to ask you guys to have some discussion about the uncertainty and risk. What do you think? As you noticed at front that Evelyn give us very detailed about the difference among the uncertainty and risk. How about CEO during this time? I mean, faced with the uncertainty situation or risk situation?
I think that uncertainty, I don't know if you talked about it, but in the, how is it called? Hofstede, I don't know if you know this guy Hofstede. He's like doing cooperation between countries and this uncertainty avoidance. He's talking about uncertainty avoidance, and it's basically
You mean Hofstede?
yes,
Hofstede. He
yeah,
conduct a research and study a person who working in the IBM company with the various country and have some concept to categorize people who work in the different culture about the risk avoidance, right? Yeah, and then go on.
and so I think that it's um, for example, Japanese people are doing their best to avoid uncertainty compared to Moroccan people. We know that, or let's say African people, uncertainty is a part of, like you have to know how to work with uncertainty because for sure you're going to have surprise. Um, my personal opinion is that we need to avoid uncertainty to make something strong and sustainable. We don't have to be afraid about risk either, but not, I was about to say stupid risks, but I think that taking risk is good, but when you can avoid the risks, you should avoid them. I mean, taking risk doesn't give you any power or any, reason to be proud of yourself. Taking intelligent risk can be good, but just taking risks to take risks is a little bit stupid. Oh, well, that's my point of view, but it's almost as uncertainty. Like when risk is obvious, it became as stupid as uncertainty. You know what I mean?
So you have to clear about what the risk is, right? It means the risk is this is your expectation, what you would like to have. But the reality, what is happened. So if you go back to the first slide about the risk, it means this is the situation, I mean the expectation or expected return that you aim to have. Particularly when you ask the company, maybe this is the profit that you aim to have, or some of your objective and the actual when it happens. For example, you forecast to have this 1 million baht for your profit for the end of the year 2018. But for the end of the year, it's occurred, it's happened. It is not exactly what you aim for 100 million baht. But the risk is maybe higher, maybe like 150. It can call the risk. And maybe like 50, not maybe 80, it's not 100. you lost 20 million, and we can also call risk. Risk is mean you know some opportunity. You can guess how many percent. Maybe this situation is occur 80%. For example, we can forecast demand. We can forecast about other things. So if we can forecast or estimate, and you are very accurate forecaster or accurate estimator, maybe exactly 100 million baht at the end of 2008. So this is kind of you have a perfect information. So the risk is like zero. But in the real world, maybe your information is not accurate or not accuracy. So you may be missed forecasting. You lost 20, it's also called risking. So the risk is one issue is about probability. Probability percent that you can correctly forecast. Like you are very sure when you study about statistical, you are very confident of your methodology. So you're very confident for 95 confidential level. So it means you have some probability to make it correctly. That is called risk. But for uncertainty, it means you don't have anything, you don't have any knowledge, you don't have any information. You are blur everything. You cannot even think about what profit you can get at the end of the year. That is uncertainty. So that's why for uncertainty it's very difficult during this time. You don't know about probability will it occur or not. So now for manager, you have to think very much for making decisions. You have to seeking more information, seeking more knowledge for support you to have more accuracy, have more probability, so you can maybe you said participate risk, or maybe you can manage risk by insurance. So when you buy insurance, and Emily said we show another slide that you can know the cost. For uncertainty, you know not know everything. You can see risk. Risk can transfer into another risk or other like cost. For example, insurance. When you buy insurance, for example, you export product to other countries via the sea logistics. Right? Maybe you don't know about the atmosphere or some other storm, so you buy insurance for cover when it occurs. So Emily explained very well here, so that transfer the risk to another cost, what we call insurance cost. But for uncertainty, very difficult. You don't know anything, you cannot even transfer the uncertainty. So that is a very issue during this time for uncertainty management. A lot of subject now for the manager and CEO try to support the knowledge for manager and CEO to understand the uncertainty. So in order to move from uncertainty to risk, what do you think, how should we do to support making decision? How to move from uncertainty situation to risky situation, what should we do?
I think we should look what have been done in the past in order to learn from the past mistake, and to identify as much alternative as possible. Just anticipate the situation. You cannot anticipate everything, but sometimes maybe you can, not especially just to know if something happened, so that you know what you have to do.
If you remember for the table that in the video clip that Emily showed to you, sometimes we don't know anything. What should we do? Emily recommend for make a scenario. The situation, maybe this happened, maybe this happened, maybe this happened. For example, in the video clip that Emily showed is about maybe the market is very good, maybe the market is bad, maybe the market is in some certain something like that. So you have to think in very scenario, very various situations, and then you can make decision for what is pay off. And you can look into the Maximax or Maximin or Minimax. It have a lot of things to make to kind of science to make your decision more reasonable, more realistic, not just like emotional, right? So this is a kind of applied economics theory for thinking about risky and uncertainty. One other thing is when you said you cannot measure uncertainty because you don't have any understanding, you don't have knowledge, you don't have information, so you better, whatever you need to study a lot. When you are CEO, you have to see a lot of information. You have to capturing a lot of information and then make it more like as the knowledge to support your decision. So when you have a lot of information, a lot of knowledge, you have some probability. So it can transfer from uncertainty to risk. So you can calculate for like statistical to reduce the risk. So you can go to another slide that you have the statistical thing here, right? For the statistical here is mean like for the mean is average. You remember about average. So maybe the average in the past, maybe the profit is about 1 million baht. So it's like you use the knowledge of the previous and you calculate what the difference about today. So you can see the variance. So this is can a little bit measure by the risk. But when the uncertainty, you don't know anything. So you need to gathering information. So that's why the session that your friend didn't mention, last session is about demand forecasting and demand estimation. So before you as the CEO, you have to estimate accurately for your demand before you're producing. And you can also use the previous history of the record of the sale volume to forecast the 5-year demand in the future. And you have some very accuracy or probability, so you can ask the risk decision making. But if you don't know anything, you just make yourself surprised, right? You just produce and waiting for the sale volume. That it means making decision for unknown everything is uncertainty. But today it's very difficult. The situation today is very uncertainty. You try to study a lot, somewhat. You don't know a lot of things because every situation always change. So when the thing is changed, you cannot notice at front. It's come to uncertainty decision situation. So maybe you need to use the science, something that Emily showed in video clip. That is the thing. Okay, I think you are more clearly about uncertainty during this time. Very important. So thank you very much, and your explanation is very good, and also the video clip that you're searching for is very nice and very explanation.
Thank you.
Very much. Give her a big hand. Thank you. So we'll have a break about 15 minutes, right? Okay.